Otimoi, Otukenge. My name is Kuma Obwenze from Mboka Nazambe in God's Universal Village in Gabon. I'm a Ganga Nasomba in the tradition of Myobe, Bwete, from the lineage of the Babongo Pygmies who originate the use of Iboga and the tradition of Bwete that we experience today, albeit the Bwete that we experience that has assumed a Western authority upon Bwete is far from the original source of Bwete, and we will go into that. Today, I'm here to discuss how we can identify authenticity when we're seeking out something like Iboga and the spiritualism attached, which is Bwete. And I'll extend that beyond that. How do I identify authenticity in all indigenous offerings of plant medicine across the board in the West? I'm here to actually give people as much information as I can in an effort to protect and preserve our tradition, which is being damaged. The sacred is being damaged by the proliferation of people that are ignorant to the truth, and then further disseminating indigenous knowledge without approval and first experiencing what that real indigenous knowledge is. Now, this is the whole plant medicine movement today. This is how it operates. These things that you feel are authentic are often very watered down. Now, I'm here to impart with you, from our perspective in Gabon, I see this all of the time. So you can have many people that seem incredibly authentic and claim that they've been part of a 10th generation lineage of shamanism and everything else. But until you actually live around them and you know the truth about those traditions, it's very difficult for the outsider to see how far they are from the truth. Now, how this happens is that these ancient practices are whole, and the use of money corrupts what is whole. That creates a division within reality, a fracture. We cannot sell spirituality, and we cannot offer spirituality for money for someone to achieve so they can profit from the spirituality or the use of a plant. This is what everyone's doing, and the distinctions that we're showing you here is that every cent, last living cent, that comes into our particular operations of our NGO, Ebota Amanganga, is disseminated into our intercultural programs, our sustainability projects, our feeding of 3,000 Babongo pillagers across 7 of the 12 villages in Dubois. So a complete returning to what gives us the very force of healing through Iboga and Bwete is paramount. Now, authenticity for the outside in, when you're looking at, from our perspective, something like Iboga and Bwete, I'd like everyone at the moment now to just drop, before I even go into this actually, you need to perhaps look at this afresh with me. You need to understand that what you're about to hear is not a personal gripe upon what is occurring in the West. What it is me protecting my Babongo family and my immediate family of Mboka Nazambe so we can have our way of life and continue this. Because these modern forms of Bwete, and I will not discriminate, across the board, that come from places like Bangtam, Ibando, Maganda's village, Mamadi, are money outlets. And the moment money is involved with Bwete and Iboga, it is no longer. Because it's a whole science. It doesn't work like that. True knowledge is earned through reciprocity with a high teacher and working and learning one's craft within a community of which no community no longer functions in Gabon. There are no genuine or communities. And people say, hang on, there's villages. I'll explain. A village cannot have people working 2 and 3 different jobs, drinking, not practicing Bwete according to the tradition. This is not a community. A community is 100% enveloped in the monastic way of life, according to Bwete, building from the forest, feeding from the forest, and practicing the art of Bwete, which is the reconciliation of God in self in Butu. Now, during my time here, which is very brief in terms of the overall, I've personally watched from us putting this authentic direction out, which is our livelihood. So we do this for zero money. Putting this authentic objective out, I've watched all of the people that possibly anyone listening now could go and see selling Iboga or Bwete change their rhetoric to the dichotomy of which we're using. They changed it to sell it. So in other words, let's look at this. They were motivated by what? What motivated them to change? Money. Selling you something that you don't actually need. Because Iboga and Bwete is not something you need. It is something that you become. It is not a band-aid. It's not something that we put on to self-gratify. So the people that must be handling you in Bwete can never be Bwete, regardless of what they claim with their initiations. They may be initiated. It doesn't matter. You're only as good as you were yesterday. And that initiation means nothing if you're doing what I'm about to say. So you're selling. So they took the ideas of what we were saying because it sounded more authentic and indigenous. It was only a few years ago when no one was saying anything about the Babongo Pygmies. Now they're all saying, yes, they were the first, yes. They're being dragged along, which is fine because we want our final message. That's the truth. But I'm trying to show you that this can't be authentic when the person's been motivated by selling the idea. That's sales, and Bwete can't be involved with that type of motivation. I'm trying to make a very strong point here. You need to know this is not authentic. This is what we're talking about in a talk today. Authenticity is seeing that the person that is offering the indigenous knowledge and heritage is embodying that knowledge in its action, not in its ideas, which means that the person you're dealing with will not be compelled, as the people we were just talking about there, by money or by motivation of what someone else is doing. That's an instant disqualification. Someone cannot heal you if they're being motivated by what someone else is doing. The art form of Bwete is about sovereignty, your inviolate nature, and becoming one with the soul, mind, and body. It cannot be compelled. It cannot be pushed around and influenced. That's not what the system is. So this can't be authentic. This is the number one thing. Whilst these corrections, we're proud that people are doing that because we need to protect the real idea, this is not going to help the healing of the individual coming towards Iboga and Bwete. So the person that finds himself in a status of a Gangana Somba, which is healing in the tradition, needs to be completely non-contradictory. What does that mean? They cannot be living a dual life. I've said this many times. You cannot be doing a job over here or an artist here and then dressing up on the weekend and doing Bwete. That's not what Bwete is. Bwete is an entire dissolution of what could be contradictory in one's life. We cannot run our life in fragments. So in other words, we look at it this way. The person that's offering you Iboga and Bwete is here saying that Iboga and Bwete definitively does this, and then they're offering other things outside of Bwete like psychological integration or activities or women's circles or whatever it is. Anything outside of Bwete, which is the whole science, is fragmentary. That's what we're saying. So this can't be authentic. The person's, playing in bands or whatever they're doing. It's not Bwete. What that is someone who's gone and paid. Number one, when you pay for an initiation, it's not real. It must be earned. How dare we think as Westerners that we could go to such a complex ancient science that stems back to esoteric Egypt and take indigenous knowledge for money when there's children and people and women like my brothers and sisters waiting 15 years to be accepted on some levels of initiation, and they're living and breathing without contradiction every day in a monastic way in a traditional community, to achieve that? How can we then say, we can go, just give some money and we're initiated? Even if you were able to do such, for you to go home and then live in contradiction, to live away from the forest, to be an artist here and a mother here and all of these sorts of things, and have your life outside, that's not Bwete. You should do something else. You should just say, I'm selling Iboga, and that's fine, right? Okay, you can sell Iboga, but you're not Bwete. This is what I mean. Why am I vehement in this direction? Why? Well, every time, if we look at whole, which we do, Bwete is a whole. So every time someone within that bubble does what I'm talking about, they're chipping away at our life force, our energy. If we were to see the damage that it's causing in Gabon, this tourism, so psychedelic tourism, if you will, or entheogenic tourism, if you were to see the damage that it's causing, right from the actual train of supply of Iboga, which is going to be lost through the proliferation of money being thrown through corrupt circles at the extortion of Iboga for the ibogaine manufacturing processes. If you knew what was going on and the division that it's creating, we'd start to think this is not ethical at all. Nothing to do with you going to an Iboga retreat is ethical. Now I'll explain. People will say, well, you are running retreats. Yeah, but they're not. That's the surface material delivery. When someone attends here, it's nothing to do with any of these other people out there in the West at all, although we look the same. Once again, I've said mockingly before and jokingly, I would challenge every single one of these guys to do their next year free to the patient that seeks and live a non-contradictory life, giving every cent back to the community, not to your immediate Bwete community that isn't a functioning community that just profits the individuals involved, like your teacher. You know that your Nima is now driving a black Land Cruiser around. That's not committing money to a community. I'm talking about giving back to people that have nothing, that give the tradition. And also the programs need to be reforming back to the original tradition, not allowing the dissemination of money and then the people using money for material gain. That's not Bwete. That's what we're saying. So where the money's going is highly important. You're giving it to someone in a third world country there, that's corruption. They're going to blow it. They're going to blow it on bad things, which further damages Bwete. That's what we're saying. So we're saying here, I challenge all of these people for their authenticity. Number one, it's very easy to see that there's no authenticity in any of them. I know personally. So I'm more about protecting my tradition. That's why I'm saying this. And I want people to be safe. You deserve more than that when you go to Iboga and Bwete. There's crazy things going on. Like some of these guys are using AI-generated advertisements for Bwete. And other people side-selling sex or images of people postulating with half clothes on, and people claiming things like they're a Nima, which is a higher master above the Ganga, in the West. That's now going to initiate people in the West. Now, true Bwete, he might think that that's correct to these people, but that's impossible. Because someone must be living in a functioning community, have the community oversee his development and vision, and live and work monastically with his hands without any modern implementation, under a strong devotion to actually prove their worth for possible selection for initiation. But that can't happen in the West. And the Nima cannot be functioning from the West. He needs to be functioning as a village. He must have a village in Gabon. It's not what we do. Number one, the Nima can't be real if he's selling. He's selling initiation, it's not real. And then he say, oh, well, I'm giving the money back to, yeah, who? Your Nima, who's then buying black Land Cruisers. Not real, period. Doesn't matter what they say. And everyone in Gabon knows. In the West, we don't know. So identifying authenticity, there's many ways. I've highlighted a few here. And let's return it more succinctly and directly to the person that's actually talking to you. Listen to their voice. Listen to them and you'll hear the truth. A person with a silent mind is always going to be spotted by the busy mind, and typically through a confused lens. Now that's a highlight for you. What we are in true Bwete is not discernible from outside in, because it is the under edge of the sword. It is the unseen, which is what Bwete truly is. The unseen, what is it? Is the immeasurable, the mind that does not think. That is a Ganga. Everything else is a demonization and really a dissolution of what Bwete really is. Ask all of the people, if you're really interested, that you're looking at about themselves, to find out the qualities of their mind. If they're talking loudly and definitively, Iboga does this, you should come here and do this. No, they don't know. Read their text, read their blurb. Ask them exactly. It's just like World Vision or any of these places. You give them money, where is the money going? When people are here with us in part of Mboka and Zambia, they see where the money's going in live time. We had people here recently who were seeing who we were treating. Our social cases in our hospital, a true village will also have what it is for us, it's called Edaba, a true hospital. We take social cases and reform severe mental illness. These villages don't do that. They sell initiations, which doesn't make them a real community or a vision. The initiation must be earned and the money must be returned. That's offered for the initiation. So, to expound upon the mind more, when you're coming somewhere for Iboga, you've been motivated, so the mind is busy. It's been busy with the motivation, number one, and then further, there's reasons for the motivation, which are layers of rabble, really, that the mind is producing. So once you arrive somewhere like this, you need to be actually calibrated towards a new approach to actually receive the sacrament of Bwete and Iboga. Coming with intents or journeys or ideas are manipulative and controlling and further breed fear and contemptuous natures within the individual who's seeking Iboga. We need to be very careful. All of these places that I'm talking about as well, watch them. They journey you, they ride in tents, they sit in circles, they do fire talk. This is all control, which is not Bwete. That doesn't happen in Africa. That's things that they've made up. Okay, so you need to be held within your own space, and the Nima or the Ganga needs to orientate you about having a fresh, listening, observant mind to possibly integrate anything to do with Iboga. Now here I'm talking firsthand. In the last 12 months, I've had 7 people from different retreats now come here that knew nothing about our approach and completely have gone home reformed after coming here, some of them with a psychotic break after another retreat. This is the education problem, the lack of authenticity. I here as a Ganga Nasombra and not here as a Westerner just merely putting this in my nose and doing these things because I think I'm cool. Or I'm a healer. Not at all. What I'm doing here is sacrificing my entire life for the direction and belief that every individual is actually inviolate and can find the qualities of mind of which I live in, which are non-thought, which are inseparable in its knowing to what is around them, that they are whole in every shape, way and form. And I'll die for that principle. And that's Bwete and Iboga right there. Not all this other nonsense. This is about humanity, not about these people achieving accolades, initiating people, claiming Iboga does this and that, paying for initiations, whatever it might be. That has nothing to do with humanity. And Iboga and Bwete is about the reconciliation of God Himself to achieve brotherhood of man and unity across the globe today. This is what true Bwete is and true Iboga. allowing the individual to find it for themselves. Anything else is influential. See, these Ganga and Nima, by defining Iboga and by offering things the way they do and journeying you and talking with you, they are influencing what you expect from Iboga. And I know personally, 100% of the time that'll backfire and you'll get something completely different and you'll be shocked and at a loss as to what's going on and challenged and not being able to integrate. We have smooth transitions here of brilliance and long-lasting effects. And I know personally, with working this other way, before we started our relationship with the village now nearly 3 years ago, that things were very different. The results didn't resemble this. So whilst I stand here and say these things, once again, I'll reiterate that I'm doing this for humanity. And it takes me to stand there and explain a little bit more each time about what true Bwete and Iboga is, because there is no one in the West or Gabon doing true, pure Bwete according to the tradition, accurately, outside of Mboka na Zambe, God's universal village. That's something we'd like to rectify. So anyone interested, I always say this, but please, by all means, reach out to us, because I'm there to talk as much as I can to everybody and share as much as I'm allowed within the tradition. Once again, in an effort to preserve and sustain what we are, because our way of life is going to be lost. It's being destroyed. The West is gobbling up the sales part of Iboga and Bwete through the retreat center frame. So please, this is not just about you having Iboga. When you come to Iboga, it's about you merging with the great celestial family and ancestry of Bwete and paying great reverence and respect to what's been laid in front of us. So may Zambe Khana shine his light on all, and may we see above even what I'm saying here. May we see above that. Listen to ourselves. Listen to me, as I say often. Listen to yourself and rise above challenges and reactions. Do not react to yes and no. To see the truth.